once again, wrestling fans. It's the ROB. That's right, Rob here on Rob's Rockin' Wrestling. Coming to you tonight, just following the go home show for WWE Hell in a Cell this Sunday. So, yes, last night, SmackDown Live, the ones who are going to be hosting Hell in a Cell, had their go home show. Um, what can I say about the go home show? It was okay, nothing too exciting. In a sense, reminiscent of the Raw pay per view go home show recently, where the pay per view ended up being pretty good, but the go home show was not the greatest. In fact, it was pretty atrocious for the Raw one. The SmackDown one was passable, but still nothing leaving you in that kind of excitement. I mean, Raw this week actually was well paced. It was a good show. The ending, leaving the teasing of the Shield reuniting kind of thing is a good way to finish any wrestling show. I mean, leaving people with questions unanswered and giving us a reason to tune into the next episode is what a good show likes to do. So kudos to Raw for doing that, and even so, more consistently doing stuff like that as a whole. SmackDown, on the other hand, doesn't have that tendency to do that as much lately. It's, I think, where they've been suffering a little bit in terms of the quality of their overall programming over on SmackDown Live. But not to say that there isn't quality there. At the same time, there has been some really great episodes of SmackDown recently and stuff like that. I think that some of them would have been better served had some of the things that, the questionable talking points were at the end of the night. Like, they did get it right when they had Kevin Owens' confrontation with Vince McMahon at the end of the SmackDown the one time. But then, his confrontation with Shane last night, I mean, it works. It wasn't great, but it works. So, anyway, that being said, we got Hell in a Cell coming up this Sunday. Who's excited? Who's going to be watching? If you're going to be following along, make sure to follow along on Twitter out there. It's where I'm most active during the pay-per-view activity anyway, so definitely give me a holler at VaporRob or hashtag the real Bobby Bunsen if you're on Twitter this weekend during the live showing of WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So let's go on over to Hell in a Cell and let's do a little predictions, little match card and prediction time for Hell in a Cell. So yes. So first up, Rusev versus Randy Orton. By the way, happy Rusev Day. Probably one of the more entertaining segments. Rusev is just phenomenal. I like this guy. He is the whole package. He's entertaining. He's a good in-ring competitor. He looks like a beast. I mean, this guy has got the total package. Why he is not a main event player in WWE yet, it's a bit of a mystery, but again, we don't know the inner workings necessarily of the WWE. We don't know who likes who and what goes on. I mean, there's always internet speculation, guys. There's always going to be. You can go read the dirt sheets. You can listen to different people out there that have a knowledge and an inside working of the business that can better give you an understanding. But again, these are, it's not always 100% the truth either. I mean, we don't know for sure why Rusev's not a main event player. Maybe, he's difficult to work with backstage. I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate because I am not knowledgeable enough in that category to give you any sort of status as to why it is Rusev's not a top guy yet. But anyways, that being said, Rusev taking on Randy Orton in a match that I think none of us really were looking forward to. Reason we haven't been looking forward to it is every match between these two right now really have more or less been a squash match. I mean, Rusev's been, more or less buried a couple times by Randy Orton. And then he got a little bit of that steam back when he beat Randy in a matter of seconds with a bit of a distraction from Aiden English there on SmackDown. Now, going into this match, it's become a little bit more intriguing now that Rusev's kind of got a little bit of something going on. He's got Aiden English kind of following him around. I shouldn't say kind of. He's got Aiden English following him around now. So, they're a little bit more intrigued to this feud. I guess a feud that would have been more interesting had it not been, almost kind of brushed to the side so poorly to begin with. But now it's kind of picking up a little bit of steam, getting more interesting. So, kudos to WWE for, not giving up on some of their plans immediately just because it wasn't interesting at first, trying to do something a little better with it. So Rusev versus Randy Orton, I'm not sure who you are all picking. I think that this is the time for WWE to pull it off and let Rusev win this match. He really needs to get that confidence, that winning streak back. Turn him into the Rusev we know he can be. So I honestly think that Randy doesn't need the win. Rusev really needs the win. I think this is going to be one of those moments where Rusev wins, and I hope for a competitive match. I really do. I really hope for a competitive bout between the two of them because, when Randy Orton really puts on a great show, he can be phenomenal inside that ring. I don't care what anybody else thinks of the guy. I mean, he can be one hell of a worker, and we know from recent times that Rusev can put on a fantastic show as well. So I would know that it's in these two to put on a show, but they need to be given the time. They need to be given the opportunity to shine in this encounter. So here it is, Hell in a Cell. Time to let Randy Orton and Rusev really have their time. Put on a slobber knocker, as good old JR would say, and let's see Rusev pick up the win, or that's at least what I'm going with. Next match on the card, we've got the glorious one, Bobby Roode taking on Dolph Ziggler. And a lot of people complaining about Ziggler's recent, mocking of gimmicks and stuff like that. I think for the first time ever, this is Ziggler getting some actual heel heat because he keeps trolling fans. It would be nice to see him really troll the fans and come out as CM Punk. I think it would be hilarious. But now that the fans are starting to get wise to it and calling for it, I think the WWE might not pull it off, and I think with good reason, because if it's going to get him a face pop, then it's not worth doing it, because that's not what they want. They want the fans to hate Dolph for it. So if the Dolph came out and you actually believed for a second it was CM Punk, you'd be angry at him. But if you're expecting Dolph Ziggler to come out as CM Punk, it's going to get a babyface pop, and it's going to be met with that kind of reaction, and that's not the reaction they're necessarily going for in this circumstance. So Ziggler saying nobody can do what he does between the ropes, and quite frankly, he's not far off on that. Ziggler is one hell of a worker. He can sell like nobody's business, and I have the utmost respect for him. But unfortunately for you, Mr. Ziggler, you're coming up not only against a glorious superstar, you're also coming up against a fellow Canadian. And let me tell you something, I swear there's something in the drinking water here in Canada, because when it comes to Canadian wrestling, with all due respect to the rest of the world, we have produced some of the best here. And we exemplify that never give up attitude. So Bobby Roode going into his main roster pay-per-view debut. Is anybody willing to bet against him? I'm not, because I'm going Bobby Roode for the win on this match. Next up, the Hell in a Cell SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships. On the line, New Day versus the Usos inside Hell in a Cell. And man, these guys have been on fire with their matches. They had that, the kickoff show match, I guess, at SummerSlam, which pretty much stole the damn show. Nobody would expect the kickoff show match to steal the show, but it sure as hell did. Since then, other encounters between these two teams have just been awesome. I mean, they have brought a breath of fresh air back into the tag division on SmackDown Live. This will be obviously the finale, we would assume. Usually Hell in a Cell is used to finalize a feud, and the New Day versus the Usos inside the Hell in a Cell. One thing we can expect for sure, it is going to be a crazy affair. I think we are going to see one hell of a match, possibly match of the night even. That goes without saying. There is some other matches on the card that could top it, but we don't know. I mean, these guys have done nothing but pull out all the stops in every match they've had so far, so I suspect this one is going to be no different. This should be a good match. I'm going to go and say that the New Day will retain, but this is one of the tougher ones, I think, to call on this card, because, WWE could go either way with this one, depending on what their direction for both teams is. But at the end of the day, I still think that they're going to keep the belts on the New Day and the feud, and that would do it nicely. So, Natalia is going to be defending her SmackDown Live Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair, and you know, a lot of backstory between these two families, these wrestling legacies. Natalia from is the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, coming from the infamous Hart family itself. So there's a lot of great wrestling history there. Fellow Canadian, of course. So course, you know where that's going. Charlotte, on the other hand, daughter of the legendary Ric Flair, the man who can and will never die, apparently. But that's okay, because you know what, Rick, glad you're doing all right, doing better, and glad you are still kicking, bud. So good to see. This is going to be a great encounter. I think for once we're not getting a match with everybody in the women's division, so to speak, which is nice change of pace. We don't get that opportunity very often. Like usually they throw, it's 4, 5, 6 women in one single match. This time we're getting a true encounter one-on-one. I think what's going to happen here is there's going to be a tease of the Money in the Bank cash in. I don't think it will actually get cashed in at this point. I think there will be a tease of it, enough to cause a distraction. This distraction will allow Natalia to retain the title at Hell in a Cell this weekend. AJ Styles is going to defend the United States Championship against Baron Corbin. A lot of people, I think, are just on the side of AJ Styles, that he's definitely winning this one. AJ, the phenomenal one, I believe. I have a funny feeling, folks, he's going to be going into the main event scene again, the title picture, soon enough. So I think they probably are going to want to bring this one to a halt soon. And in order to do that, AJ's still going to be entitled to a rematch when he does lose the title. So, with the year coming to an end soon, I think it's time for them to pull that trigger. So here I am going to go out on a limb. This is going to be my wild card pick. Last pay-per-view, I took the wild card pick, picking Enzo Amore to become the new Cruiserweight champion, and it paid off. This time, I'm going to go with Baron Corbin defeating AJ Styles. Not saying it's going to be clean, not saying it's going to be pretty, but Baron Corbin's going to walk out the new United States champion. The next Hell in a Cell match, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. And there's a lot of people out there that like to complain, McMahon's in a match, it's taking away from the talent. It was supposed to be about the talent. It goes without saying that there's always going to be complainers about something. Everybody's going to have some form of complaint about everything that goes on. You guys, the McMahon family are WWE. They own it. They have been a part of it forever. Vince McMahon has had some role to play for a long, long time. He was on commentary. He was Mr. McMahon, the boss. He's backstage calling the shots all the time. It's only inevitable that eventually other McMahons are going to grow into the business and become a part of that. And Shane is starting to become the spot where Vince was. Vince would have a feud with certain individuals on the roster, especially during the Attitude Era, and it escalated the careers of those individuals. Not saying that, guys like Austin and them needed that extra boost, but they're fondly remembered for feuds with the McMahon family in particular and stuff like that. So I don't think it's taken away from anything to have Kevin Owens fit into this position. I mean, right now Kevin Owens is looking like a total badass. Another fellow Canadian, by the way. So yes, Kevin Owens looking like a total badass going into this Sunday, looking like the kind of despicable heel that he has been known to become and everything. So he is going to go into this match. Everyone's expecting Shane to come in with a big old ass kicking on Owens, and rightfully so. It's going to happen. I think these two are going to. I think this is going to be a violent encounter. Both men are going to get their stuff in. Shane might pull off some sort of crazy stunt. We don't know. Or will Kevin Owens demolish him? I honestly think this one is going to end with Kevin Owens severely destroying Shane McMahon to the point where we won't see Shane on TV for a while. Just to sell the idea that he has been destroyed. And I think that's what's going to happen. He is going to get severely destroyed by Kevin Owens. By the time this is all said and done, Kevin Owens will walk away victorious. Shane McMahon will be probably carried out on a stretcher, in kayfabe sense anyway. I don't mean that as a slight against Shane or anything too. So, and then last but yeah, mostly least, Jinder Mahal defending the WWE Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. I say least because there's so many people that don't care about this, and I think a lot of that has to do with the build to it. Shinsuke relatively was kept off of TV the last little while. I don't really understand the choice of doing that. Jinder's been out there poking fun and everything like that, but we haven't seen Shinsuke in any matches. We haven't seen Shinsuke come out and confront him. And, when Shinsuke has come out, like, there really hasn't been a lot for him to say and or do at the moment, kind of thing. It's almost like he's a little too polite about the way Jinder's been being, other than, the good confrontation that he had with him last week. We really haven't seen enough to really get us invested, and it's a shame because Shinsuke Nakamura is a real talent. So is Jinder Mahal, again, props, fellow Canadian. So there's a lot riding on this, but I think the writing is on the wall. Most people want to see Shinsuke walk away as champion. They're tired of Jinder Mahal as the champion. At the same time, if you're tired of Jinder Mahal as champion, then I guess he's doing his job as a heel. And that's the thing people neglect to see, is that a heel character, you're not supposed to like him. So many people, and I'm bad for it too. I absolutely love a good heel character. But every time we go out there and we're cheering for the bad guy, as much as good old Razor Ramon wanted us to be the ones cheering for the bad guy, in a sense, it's like we're saying that guy's not doing his job. Because if we're going to cheer for the things he does, chances are they're going to believe you aren't doing your job properly, which is a shame, because in this day and age, the crowds are split. You're going to have your cynical fans, such as myself, that are going to enjoy a good heel character, just like we enjoy a good evil villain in a movie or an evil character portrayed on TV or something like that. We enjoy that a lot. We know that at the end of the day, those are the ones that are going to get toppled by the good old babyface character, and that's the idea of it. But we want to see that struggle. We want to get to that struggle, and when we can get a villain we despise so much, and like I'll use TV as a reference here. When you get villains the likes of Joffrey in Game of Thrones and stuff like that, where it's like that it's not real, but you just hate the bastard so much that you want to see him get his comeuppance. And that's the case with Jinder Mahal. You can hate him all you want, but that's exactly the reaction that WWE wants. They want you to hate Jinder Mahal so that when somebody finally does come around and take the title from him, it's going to be that much more exciting. Unfortunately for most of the WWE universe, I don't think that's happening this Sunday. I believe that Jinder is still going to walk away as champion. I think he's going to carry that belt through the tour of India coming up in late November, early December, something like that, I believe. So I would bank on Jinder holding that title at least until the Royal Rumble, if not through to WrestleMania at this point, you guys. So don't hold your breath if you're banking on Shinsuke to win this Sunday, because I wouldn't. Quite frankly, I enjoy breathing. That's going to do it for me tonight, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button down in the YouTube channel here. That would be fantastic. More subscribers looks great for me, makes me feel more loved, and I of course love to feel the love. If you're following along at Vapor Rob on Twitter, I'm on there quite frequently, so yes, definitely check me out there as well too. So what do you think is going to happen this Sunday at Hell in a Cell? Let me know in the comments below. Tweet at me, use hashtag #TheRealBobbyMunson. Let's get the conversation going, and let's have fun this Sunday. WWE presents Hell in a Cell.